God will not come where he's not wanted. You don't want him, he won't come. But if you want him, you desire him, he will come. In his name, we'll gather. And I praise him. I'm so grateful for yesterday. I'm telling you, my soul was just overwhelmed. And I tell you, just what a glorious time. I just couldn't think of anything that people could come together, people coming together, just of all ethnic backgrounds and every heritage just coming together. And I thank God for putting that on my daughter's heart. And I know there's a whole lot of work that went through that, and just bringing it all together, and many obstacles, yet God making ways and opening doors, and so many details that go beyond. And I know that God just brought her shoulders to carry so much. And I just thank God that her intensity and for the Lord, her desire for the Lord, her main desire is to see people saved. Salvation for the lost. It's her desire, and just people come together. And I could just think, I just commend you on that. That's just a wonderful yesterday. And I just heard so many just great things spoken. And just thank God for the write-up. And someone sent me that early this morning. I was just rejoicing on that. And just God has a way of getting that witness out, doesn't he? He has a way. And thank you for his truth, that we may abide in it. In that God calls you to holiness, there is, and sure, thank God for all our visitors, and just thank God for everyone that is assembled. Everything that God has called us, and the Bible said those that sat in darkness saw a great light. And so Jesus coming, bringing light to a dark world, and everything that he did, he manifested his truth. The Bible said anything that makes manifest is light. And the light was word, the light was gospel preached. and calls them the salvation of many. And when God calls us unto this glorious way, then he tells us to walk as we have Christ for an example. Peter says that we should walk in his footsteps and we should follow in his way. And David says, teach me thy way, show me thy path, lead me in thy way and teach me. So it's something that you want to walk in his way, because we were going another way, but God changed our walk. And the walk now is different. And he said, and such, he speaks of sin, the sinful elements, and he said, and such were some of you, but now you are washed. So he brought us from away and calls us to come unto a cleansing. And God watches how we walk. The word tells us that we are living epistles being read of all men. And God watches how we walk. Your walk defines you. Your walk tells who you are. The walk tells you of your involvement. Your walk tells you your association. Your walk tells you of your union. I remember I was walking down the street, and one of the older guys that know my dad, he said, little Douglas, and he said, man, you walk just like your dad. So some things you can't get away from. Your walk. And I want to talk to you today about your walk. And this it's not like you haven't heard it before, but I'm going to bring it to you, but you know it'll be different. You do know that. This is tales of the feet. Tales of the feet. When feet speak. Don't you know your feet are talking? Don't you know your feet are talking about you? Don't you know your feet witnesses and declares things? Your feet tell on you. Tales of the feet. When feet speak. Don't nobody steal that. Somebody say, you can keep that one, Bishop. And we know feet are, Jesus mentioned the washing of feet because feet is the lowest part of the anatomy as far as the Hebrews are concerned. So for you to wash someone's feet, that's to stoop to the lowest, and that's to humble yourself to the utmost. So when you do that, then you're saying that I will go to the lowest level and regard you as my brother, and to show you that I am your servant. I bow down to servitude. So your feet, no doubt, it helps us to be mobile. It's hard to get around without them. And they give you a degree of sufficiency, self-sufficiency, gives you independence. Our feet allow us to go places, and it gives us liberty. I think it's so good. You know, you're blessed if you can walk. You're really blessed if you can get around. Think about the people that can't do that, or looking for someone to carry them or push them. But you have that liberty that you can go where you want. So that's a blessing. And even so, within that we can walk, there are boundaries. You see boundaries saying keep off the grass. You'll see another boundary that says keep out. You'll see other boundaries that speak certain things or tells you don't enter. So you have boundaries. So there are boundaries for our feet. So, but believe it or not, your feet leave invisible prints. You can't see them, but God records every one of them. Every place that you've ever been, God has recorded it. God set you before and behind you. He knows everything about you. He knows every decision you will make. He knows everything you shall be involved in. God knows it ahead of time. Everywhere you go, your feet leave an impression. And it speaks. You know how many cases they saw because of footprints? Because you wear a certain type shoe, and your certain type shoe leaves a certain type imprint. And therefore, you've been implicated because This shows that this is your brain. This is your shoe. So when it speaks of footsteps, it means to tread or to go along. Also, it means to track. It means a step which you can ascend or you can descend. And also, footsteps are also associated with conduct. It's associated with actions. And it can speak of a way of life. Isaiah said this. Isaiah said, prepare the way of the Lord and make his path straight. And John the Baptist picked that up. Prepare ye the way of the Lord and make his path straight. So the feet do indeed speak. The Bible tells us how beautiful are the feet that bring good tidings. It is good when your feet bring good news. When you can tell some good news, you got good feet. When you carry the gospel of Jesus Christ, your feet are beautiful. That's the only way my feet could be beautiful. Because otherwise they're not. But my feet are beautiful because I carry the gospel of Jesus Christ, and I carry good tidings. Now, the Bible also speaks of feet that are swift to mischief. Some feet can't wait to get in trouble. Can't wait to do wrong. Can't wait to do things of evil. Some feet are swift to shed blood. And feet speak of a position of life. You hear of the statement says they're footless and they don't have anything to stand on. No foundation. They have no foundation. One says that they're footloose. It means that they don't have a care. You ever seen people that are footloose? Living while I'm living while I'm living. I'm just good. Taking as the day goes by. I'm just footloose. Means that they have no tie. One says that are feet of clay, which means that they conceal or an unobserved weakness, that they have a weakness or frailty. So our feet tells about travel, and they witness against us. And it tells of a present account. It tells of our past. It tells of our goings. So feet can take you in good places. They can take you in evil places. But wherever you go, your feet lead path. Don't you know that when you go places that are forbidden by God, and then you come in here and you put your feet upon that carpet? Don't you know that your feet witnessed against you, and in the day of judgment, don't you know the dust of your sins shall rise up before God? Don't you know that you cannot conceal anything that you do? Because when you enter into the courts of the Lord, God knows every heart. He knows everything that everyone does. There's nothing that's concealed. Job says he knows the steps that I take. God asked Satan a question. He said, where have you been? And he said, I've been in the earth, walking up and down in it. Just been in the earth, going around. What Satan was saying, he said, I've been trafficking. I've been going from place to place, and I've been trying to see where I can bring my influence. I've been trying to see where I can bring my evil. I'm going. See what the devil does. He walks around in the house of the Lord, and he sees the heart, and he tries to read the hearts and the minds of the people. He tries to read them. And listen, let me tell you, not only do your feet speak, your flesh speaks. Yes, it does. We are nothing but dust of the earth. And sin has a stench. Yes, it does. Sin is associated with a spirit. So when Satan walks around, he walks as a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour, looking to see who doesn't have their heart with God, to see who has lost their dedication, who have poured back from God, or those that have turned their hearts and gone another way. He seeks whom he may devour, and that he might lure them with his delicacies. He's still bringing the forbidden fruit before your eyes. downfall and your loss and your damnation. When your feet speak. And the end of it, ask Adam and Eve, was it worth it? When they lost their first habitation. Ask the angels, a third of the angels who lost their first habitation, was it worth it? Lord have mercy. What you do here presently determines your eternity. So you got to be careful how you walk. The Holy Ghost places boundaries. The book of Psalms says, ponder the path of thy feet and let thy ways be established. Look, you got to ponder the ways of your feet. Don't go just any way. Don't just do anything. Don't associate yourself with just anything. Think about it. You know, when you, every day, you know, some people have cultures. Some cultures have different practices. And it doesn't mean that you even have to be forced and to do that. But many people, when you come into the house, it is a practice. You don't take your shoes off. In many cultures, that you never wear your shoes in the house, especially when you come from outside. Now, because when you go daily throughout and you track, you go where you go, and you go to work, school, where have you, then the soles of your feet encounter all types of surfaces, and they're unclean, contaminations. And at the end of the day, you bring that right back into your house. So wherever you walk, you bring that right in your house. So wherever your shoes have gone, that comes on your carpet, that's embedded in your carpet, and your baby's lying on that carpet, or you're lying on that carpet, or and you're just tracking that from one place to another. Your whole house is contaminated from where you've been. And it's the same thing spiritually. Because wherever you go, it affects you. It affects your whole house. Don't you know that when your feet go where you are not to go, when you enter into this house, do you not know you bring a spirit into this house? You bring a contamination. And listen, let me tell you, the devil will not allow you to get out into sin, and you do not bring anything back with you. There is something coming back with you. If you look in the Bible, I'm trying to get through here, I don't want to keep you much longer. If you look through the Bible, the Bible tells you that Samson's feet, he did track to the house of Delilah. And where lust eventually subdued him and imprisoned him. And time again, he would rise up and said, your enemies are about you. And he'd get up and he'd do his thing by the strength of God. But one day, he played around too long. See, you got to watch whose head you lay. You got to watch the lap that you lay your head in. You got to watch where you affiliate. You got to watch whom you're given to. Because see, you think that you're going all the time, and you said, they like that Samson said, I'm just going to get up like I always did. But one time he played around too long. And then when he got up, he thought he was going in the strength of God, and his strength was gone. Some strength has left you, and you've not even known it. The anointing is no longer, but you've not even known it. The feet of Bathsheba tracked to the palace of David. And they both found guilty in sin. The feet of Judas tracked to the priest who gave him 30 pieces of silver for the life of Jesus Christ. The feet of Paul was tracked to the persecuting of the church. And now I ask you the question, Where have your feet been? Where have you been? Where have you gone? What do your feet witness about you? You know, somebody came up with a good idea. You know, when there are roaches, they learn the habits of roaches. So somebody had an idea, we can't get them all at one time, but we're going to methodically kill all these roaches. So what they do, they get boric acid, comes in the form of a powder. All you have to do is sprinkle it on one of them. If one of them comes in contact with it, they go back to the nest, and the rest of them clean him. So when they clean him, they ingest the poison, and it kills the whole nest. What do you think happens when you come in here and you're contaminated, and then you try to worship among here and worship among the saints, and you throw a contaminant? You throw off a contaminant in the atmosphere, and the atmosphere should say worship, it should say holy, but God says there's an unclean among you. There's a defiled, there's a contaminant among you. That's why even Paul said, put that wicked one out from among us. Because God wants your feet clean. He wants you clean. Because when you're clean, you can carry glorious things from on high. Don't you know when you're clean, you can carry God's message. When you're clean, you can be a blessing to a soul. When you're clean, look, you can help sanctify somebody else when you're clean.
That's good, Bishop.
Don't tell me how to clean my clothes when your clothes are dirty.
Hey. My God.
Don't tell me to iron my shirt when you got wrinkles. I'm speaking of nothing to nobody because I ironed my shirt today. Your feet speak of justification or condemnation. You're condemned by them, you're justified by them. And the Bible says this, I'm getting too close. Hebrews 12 tells you to make straight paths for your feet. See, you got to start walking straight. Straight paths for your feet. He said, lest that which is lame be turned out of the way. Make straight paths. 1 Samuel 2:9, he says, he will keep the feet of his saints. No matter what, he will keep your feet. And even when you're tempted, he said he will not allow any temptation to come upon you than that which is common to man. But also he, with that temptation, will make a way to escape. There will be an escape. So you don't have to fall. You don't have to sin. He will make my feet like hinds' feet. See, when you walk in high places, see, God called you to walk in the mountains. High places. Bless you in worship. That's why when you walk dedicated to the Lord, then the devil fights hard. He fights you hard because he doesn't want you to go higher. And all this thing is about is being transformed by the renewing of our mind. This is not to be conformed. This is to be transformed. You see yourself stop being conforming. You stop being transformed, then something's going on. If you're not being transformed, you're conforming. He said, thou hast enlarged my steps under me, so that my feet did not slip. David said, set my feet upon a rock and establish my goings. He said, will not thou deliver the feet my feet from falling, that I may walk before God in the light of the living. And David said, but as for me, my feet were almost gone. My steps had almost slipped. But oh, again, I looked unto my God, and my God was able to help me. It is a time to turn your feet. If you're walking in the way, stay in the way. If you turn out of the way, return to God. If you begin to see yourself slipping, return unto God and call again unto Him, because today is the day of salvation. Today is the day to turn your heart to God. One day, all that's going to witness before God, and God won't look. I pray your heart will be a repentant heart, that you turn from sin, that you put the past behind you. Because I'm telling you this today. Nothing wrong will work.
That's right. Come on.
Tell them, you are wasting your time. Nothing you do wrong will work. God's going to foil it. He will bring it to naught. If there's somebody here today that wants to turn their feet, you've been so tired in sin. You say, look, I'm ready to give this up. And all of a sudden you're going in one direction and you make an about face, because repentance is a change. It's a change of mind. Anybody want to make up their mind and say, look, I'm tired